Hi.
Hello guys. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Nikki, and this is my book nook. Today we are talking about Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. This is the third book in the Devil's Night series. Y'all, I thought I had willpower, and I simply do not. I have been trying so hard to pace myself through this series. When I first started it, when I first read Corrupt, I was just so hooked. I feel like Penelope Douglas has introduced me to like an entire new genre that I didn't quite know existed outside of Wattpad, but like it's Wattpad on freaking steroids done so well, and I eat it up. It's so addicting. It is like dark romance thriller. It's too much. It's so hard to put down. Her writing is just so like captivating, and it's just so spicy, and it's so like it just destroys my mind. Like I cannot. I'm obsessed with this series. I told myself I was just gonna read like one a month because I'm trying, like I don't want to go through it too quickly because I know I'm gonna have such a hangover when I finish it. And also like this series has some very like dark and twisted aspects to it, and I don't want to become desensitized to it, you know? I want to like each time I read it, like I want my jaw to like hit the floor as it does with every book. But I read Hideaway like last week, and I was like, I'm gonna read a couple of books in between. I read one book, oh wait, no, I read two books in between, but I was just like, I was dying for this one. This is the third book. This is the one that focuses on Damon, and I was just dying to know more about him. I needed to know. And the general consensus from what I've heard is like, this is most people's favorite, and I have to agree. I think it's my favorite in the series as well. I'm so obsessed. It was so good. I'm gonna give my general kind of spoiler-free synopsis to those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about. This is the third book, like I said, in the Devil's Night series. The Devil's Night series is, how do I even explain it? I would honestly describe it as like if Gossip Girl had a dark, twisted, sexy older sister. Like that's honestly like a pretty good description. In a nutshell, this series follows four boys. They live in a very wealthy community. They're all sons of like very elite, important, well-known people. Like I said, kind of like very much Gossip Girl vibes. And these four boys were the stars of the basketball team when they were in high school, and they were a part of this group called the Four Horsemen. Basically, it's kind of like a gang. They're known for, they wear these masks and they just wreak havoc. They just get into trouble in all sorts of ways, but they're especially known for getting into trouble on Devil's Night, which is the night before Halloween. So that's a big like central night and aspect throughout this whole series. There's technically four books in the series, like four main books, but then there's two little novellas on the side that are like side stories. But pretty much the four books each focus on one of the four boys, and it gets wild. The series is advertised as like each of these books can be standalone novels, but honestly, I would say like you can, like I do know some people that have read these books individually, but like I would seriously say like if you're even somewhat interested, just read the whole series. I promise you, you won't regret it. Corrupt, especially the first book, I feel like really just lays a lot of the groundwork. Like you'll be able, like each of the stories is an individual story because it focuses on each one of the boys, but there is like an overarching sort of thing going on there, and it'll just save you a lot of headache. You'll have so much better of an experience if you do read the entire series, so I would recommend that. But this book in particular focuses on Damon Torrance. He is the baddest of the bad pretty much in this group. This group pretty much as a whole, like they're the bad boys. They get into trouble, but because like I said, their parents are very important people in the community that pull a lot of weight, they get away with most of it. So it's just given them that total like rich boy, I can do whatever I want kind of attitude. So you like want to hate them, especially in Corrupt, but you quickly learn as you read each of the books, like all of the boys, they're kind of misunderstood. They kind of have a soft spot for their friends and always one girl. That's the deal with every book. Every book kind of focuses on a relationship between one of the guys and a girl. It jumps from past to present, from the girl's perspective to the guy's perspective. There's always some like underlying tension or reason why like the two, like the guy and the girl have like a lot of history and currently have a lot of like angst towards each other, and you're like figuring out throughout the book what happened in the past. Every book is like that, and it's so freaking good. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like you just want to know what's happening in the present, what's happening in the past, like why they feel this way about each other. It's just so freaking good. But yes, Damon is, like I said, all the boys are very much like misunderstood, I feel. Damon is the definition of misunderstood. He is like the most misunderstood character I think I've ever read in any book ever. Like he is, up until reading this book, I always have a soft spot for the bad guy, if I'm honest. Like every movie, every book, every story, I go for the bad boy, or at least I like try to, like I understand that there's motives usually behind the way that they're acting. And so Damon, I tried, I'm like, okay, there's gotta be something there, but like, he really seems so just like outright evil and awful up until this book. But I'm like, okay, this is why I was so excited to read this one, because we get his full backstory, and oh my God, this boy has been through it. There's definitely a reason why he acts the way he acts. If you're planning to read this as a standalone novel, like, okay, the general synopsis of this book is, oh, a big important part I forgot to mention. The deal with the Four Horsemen, which is kind of the main story of Corrupt. One Devil's Night, after they had graduated from high school, I think it was like they were 20 at that point, they would still come back to the town and do their Devil's Night activities. And this one particular night, 3 of the 4 boys, including Damon, ended up getting arrested. Footage of them, they would take footage of them like doing these things, and it got leaked and they got arrested and they were in prison for like 3 years. So now like this book is like later in the future basically, and they all went to jail for different things, but the reason that Damon went to jail is because he was accused of R-wording the mayor of the town's daughter, named Winter Ashby. That's all we know. We like see that, not see it, but we learn about it in the first book. And this book kind of explains that there was a lot more to that than we thought. It was not, in fact, our word. And Winter and Damon have so much more history than we could have ever imagined. I am so obsessed with this story. Again, it's like jumping from the past, jumping to the present. Something we don't realize at first, but it's really not a spoiler, is that Winter is actually blind now. She wasn't blind when her and Damon first met, and her becoming blind definitely has something to do with Damon. Their whole situation in high school, the aspect of her being blind alone, it adds so much to the story, because already these books are very like tense and creepy. Like I said, it's like a thriller. Like there's plenty of like sneaking into people's houses and like creeping up on each other and stuff, but like she's literally blind, so it's just, it's so good. It's like such an interesting element. Like when that was revealed, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. So the book kind of starts out, we know of this little story with Winter and Damon, but the book literally starts out with like Winter being at her sister's wedding, and it is revealed that Winter's sister has just married Damon, and it's because their families, like Winter's family, got into a bind over things that happened in like the previous books, and Damon's family, like I said, this is very kind of like Gossip Girl mafia-ish vibes. It's sort of like an arranged marriage situation. Like he agreed to marry Winter's sister to have sort of like an alliance of the families in the town, and they're gonna help them get out of their financial situation, blah, blah, blah. All of this is pretty much like a ruse. Like he just wants access to Winter. But her sister is into Damon, so it's nuts. It's wild. So much happens. That's pretty much all I can say without like spoiling it. Read this series if you have not read it. It's so freaking good. Now, leave, because I'm gonna talk about it if you haven't read it yet. Oh my God, y'all. Damon freaking Torrance owns my heart. The whole like backstory of the stuff with his mom is just so freaking sad and heartbreaking. And then come to find out it's like not even really his mom, and Brick's mom is his mom. Literally my jaw hit the floor, but it also made so much sense in a way. Oh my God, Winter is my favorite. She's my favorite of the girls we've seen so far in this series. She is blind, but like she doesn't let it hold her back at all. Like she's such a like badass, so like independent, and just the way she describes like the way she sees the world, like how vividly she can hear things. Like it's just, I just love her so much. And her whole deal with Damon, like her not knowing it was him, like that literally going back and forth, I was like, is this not him? Like the way that it was written, it was so confusing whenever they were having their little relationship. Like from her point of view, I'm like, what is going on here? But then to find out it really was Damon, and he was like changing his clothes before he went and saw her so she wouldn't know, and then she like fell in love with him, and then they did the things they did, and she did want to do it, but she didn't know it was Damon, so that's why she got him arrested. And so he literally went to prison for 3 years because he like wouldn't come clean and tell her who he was. And she literally, it's so cool too that like, not cool, but like the last thing that Winter saw before she became blind was Damon, before like they fell, or she fell out of the treehouse. So now that it's like they end up together, when like he was the last thing she saw before he went blind, that just like stabbed me in the heart. Obviously this whole like arranged marriage situation is a little scandalous, a little weird, and like the sister was not even in a majority of the book, so I'm like, if we could just get that sorted. Like at the end of the book, it's like obviously they did, and he's like with Winter now. But the fact that she's like already pregnant, that's one thing about this series. I love this series and I love these characters, but like these kids don't mess around. Like, can we maybe just date? Like, why is everybody like, let's instantly get married and pregnant at age 22? Like, y'all got time. You got endless money. Like, how about we just like live our best like young coupled lives for a minute? I don't know. Literally it's not even a complaint. It's just a comment, but I love this book so much. Damon, the way that you like saw him like against everything that he wanted, the way that you saw him finally like open up and like start to love and like admit that he could love, and just the way that Winter like fought against him, but like they're literally like meant for each other, and it was just so beautiful. And I love how like this story continues to build. Like we still see like Kai and Banks, and we see like Rika and Michael, and like how they're becoming like, they're kind of, it's very much like I said, like Gossip Girl. Like you see the characters kind of start to like grow up and like take on more responsibility, and now they're like running businesses, and like Rika's gonna run for mayor, and it's just like such a cool world, such a cool like, I just love it because like Penelope Douglas, bro, I swear this series, like she writes the best spice I've ever read. It's literally just, I've literally never read better spice. That's all I gotta say. Like I'm just like, holy crap. But her story and her writing is just so good. Like literally if the spice was gone, I would still like, it would still be a fantastic series, because the story is just so interesting, and the way of her, like the past, present, like just the building of the world and all of that, like it's just already so good. And then she sprinkles in her crazy spice. I can't think of another way to say it. Like it's just so freaking good, and this is my favorite one so far. Literally 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly 6 out of 5 stars. I'm obsessed with it. Again, this book, this series, very dark themes, very dark elements. Every trigger warning that could possibly exist is in this series, so if you're thinking about it, just be aware. It's not gonna be for everybody, but it's definitely for me, which I don't know what that says about me, but I don't care because I'm obsessed with it. And I'm gonna keep on reading it. But again, I'm gonna try to pace myself, because the next book is between Will and Emery, and they hinted a lot in this book at like what went on between them, and I'm so interested to see what that book will be about. It's time for Will's moment. I'm ready to learn more about him, but I also like don't want the series to end, because like the little novellas are there, but still like the main series will be over when I read that book. So I'm gonna definitely wait until next month to read it. We'll see though. But that is it for now. If you guys read Kill Switch, give me all your thoughts down below. Tell me how much you love Damon, or tell me if I'm crazy and you still hate him. I can understand, because he's done some horrible things, but I love him. Anyways, that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all later. Bye.